Favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Okay. We have another one here for Walsh. Walsh.
I have actually forwarded that information over to Sean. That would be the modular home in the trailer park. That would be non-jurisdiction moving forward, is that correct?
That's what I would advise for the board, yes.
Okay.
The Secretary of State has
Regulates us.
jurisdiction over mobile homes, including repair. That should go to them, and they should go through that grievance process for the Secretary of State.
So we have no jurisdiction.
Non-jurisdiction letter should be sent to them.
Okay, so
That'll be filed as no action, no votes required.
no action be taken by this board. Motion?
No motion is required for
No?
non-action.
Okay, very good. Let's move on. Is anybody here for,
We're not ready yet.
they're not
Still
here
need the
yet?
attorneys.
Okay, how we doing on new home improvement applications?
I have them. Going through them right now.
I was gonna, for DNO Equipment and Development, which is the application ending in 196, I
Right?
ask that we schedule him to come in.
Get a motion to have them come in?
We don't need a motion for that.
You don't need one? Okay, that's why we got you here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll ask him to come at the next meeting before we approve his license. Okay, any other ones? Anybody else? Oh, you're not done with them, right, Ed?
Right.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll move on to renewal, home improvement license, 76 of them. A motion to accept them? Approve them, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So move. New plumbing registrations, we have 2 of them.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So move. 9 renewal plumbing registrations. The motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So move. Okay. Are we ready? No? Not yet?
Finish that. I'll be good.
As soon as Ed gets done with reviewing the new applications, we could approve them. Moving along. Seat of construction, huh?
We have a stapler. This one came undone. I don't want to separate. I don't want to mess it up. It came unglued. Yeah, that's it.
That's the one that we want to,
You want that one back?
Yep.
No problem.
this hearing is on Cedar Construction, right? Is that in here?
Everybody's here?
No, I said is that in here.
It was mailed to you. It's a draft. Do you want my copy to review?
Well, I don't see it in here, that's why.
Is there one?
Because everything is mailed to you. Do you want a copy of mine right now to review?
If you would give it to me, I would
Do
appreciate
you have a
it.
copy of it in my book?
Everything was mailed to all of you.
Everything was mailed to us. Didn't you? I got yelled at.
When was it mailed?
You did not get yelled at. It's during COVID.
Oh,
Okay. Well, if it got mailed to me, it's,
This was first taken in November of 2021. While we were during COVID, the paperwork came in.
Oh,
Okay? If you require duplicates, I'll be happy to copy those out for you for your books. I would appreciate it if you could just try to keep it.
there you go.
It'll be a longer time to get it back in order then.
get it out of order.
I'm not, here, you can look at it.
I'd like to finish this up first.
All parties are here?
All parties are here.
Okay, I'd like to open the hearing on Cedar Construction. Who's here to represent, are you here to represent Cedar?
I have Brian Lewis for Hampton Cedar. Bruce Joes, I have my clients with me.
Come forward.
Here, there.
That's fine. Are you an attorney?
I am. Brian Lewis of Lewis Joes, Allo and Aviles in Islandia, although we also have an office in Burke & Sullivan's office here in Southampton. And I'm
Okay.
here for Hampton Cedar. With me today is Julio Jara. Over there, he's from Hampton Cedar. Also with me today is Jose Jimenez. He's from Jimenez Design. He was the project manager and point person during this project. And that lady over there is Carolina Barbino. She's a translator for Mr. Jara.
Okay, you don't have to be sworn in because you're an attorney, so state your case.
Well, so maybe let's have the movement go first here.
Excuse
We
me?
have the
Have
complaint.
Ms. Oppenheimer state her case
Is
first.
he here? Yep, they're
Yeah.
here.
So we'll have them go first.
You want them to go first? Okay.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Cambridge. I do have one thing I do want to just raise at the outset here of this hearing. So every town does things a little bit differently. I've handled these in other counties, other towns, never here in Southampton. But I want to make sure I understand the scope and intention and purpose of this hearing. We received two notices. The first was when the complaint got filed, back in November of 2021, I believe, and that was just to notify us that there was a complaint and the board was going to take it up for jurisdictional purposes. We then received a subsequent notice, several versions of it, actually, because this hearing has been adjourned a number of times for a variety of reasons. But they were all the same. They say that the purpose, I'm quoting, the purpose of this public hearing is to review the complaint filed against Hampton Cedar Construction. That's it. It does not identify this as a hearing for the purpose of any type of disciplinary action, whether it be revocation or suspension of a license. It does not identify the ground or grounds for suspension or revocation, which would be the subject of this hearing. So I know every town does it differently. I know that that's probably the intention of this hearing. We're not really on any type of notice as to exactly what target they're aiming at and what I'm defending, candidly. I had asked for clarification on this issue back in May. I had asked that the board provide us with any documentation indicating what town code provisions or conduct was the subject of the hearing. All I received back was another copy of the complaint itself, which Ms. Oppenheimer submitted, but it is, she's not an attorney. It is not. It doesn't identify any particular conduct or town code provision, for instance, that is at issue here. And so,
Doesn't she specify the code as far as our license codes?
no, there's no. As far as I've gone
Okay,
through
well,
it,
the
yeah.
purpose of the hearing is to find out the information on both sides, and then
Sure.
we'll have, make a decision on where we're gonna go from there.
And that's fine. I don't want to frustrate. I want us. We're all here. I have an interpreter here. I want to move forward.
Well, we've been trying to get you guys together to review it and get all the information in front of us.
Sure,
Okay.
and let's move forward on that grounds. I raise it now because I have to, I'm an attorney, and
Of course.
if there was a negative, if at the result of this, there is some negative action, I need to put you on notice that is where I would go. I would look at this and say, okay, I may need to challenge this. Obviously, if the conclusion of this hearing
So what
is
you're more or
everything's
less-
fine.
What you're more or less telling us is that we can't make a decision until we get this hearing over with.
Well, if you make a decision,
We're not
that there's
gonna
no
make-
further action to
we're
be
not
made,
gonna-
I may allow that decision to
Okay,
go
just
forward.
to
Just so
satisfy
I can
you,
clarify a little bit,
At this point, we're not going to make a decision, we're going to hear the facts.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's fine, sure.
Is that okay, Sean?
Yeah, so the notice that was sent out by the board secretary did include the town code section 14311, License and Review Board. The purpose of this hearing is to determine if any of the following were occurring in this instance: fraud, misrepresentation, or bribery in securing a license, any false statement to a material matter in application of license, whether a contractor has acted in a way that's untrustworthy or not of good moral character, if there's a failure to perform, a failure to display a license, failure to comply with any demand made by the Licensing Review Board, if any agent, employee, or licensee is found guilty of an act, omission, fraud, misrepresentation, a violation of any provision of this article, these articles rather, abandonment or willful failure to perform without justification, substantial misrepresentation in solicitation or procurement of a home improvement contract, fraud or execution in material alteration of any contract, preparing or accepting any mortgage, promissory note, or other evidence of indebtedness upon obligations of a home improvement transaction, directly or indirectly publishing any advertisement relating to home improvements which contain an assertion, representation, or statement which is false, deceptive, or misleading, willful or deliberate disregard or violation for building, sanitary, fire, zoning, electrical, environmental, and health laws of the town, county, or state, failure to notify the License Review Board of any change in ownership, conducting a home improvement business in any other name than the one that's registered, and failure to conduct home improvements in a skillful manner as defined in Section 777 of the General Business Law of the State of New
You
York.
didn't receive that?
I did not receive any notice that recites any of that.
Our board secretary said that this was included with your notice.
That's just a town code provision.
Yes, that's the scope of this hearing, and that was apparently stapled to your notice to appear here today.
But the, okay, and I don't, I'm not,
I
this is.
think just
it's
to
a point
clarify,
that-
this board can do, we could take no action, we could suspend a license, or we can revoke a license.
Right. And
There's a copy.
but it's my view, and I'm just articulating it
Yeah.
for you, we don't have to fight over it, but under the town code, there needs to be specific notice of which of those provisions we are here to discuss today, because saying that we are here to discuss any violation of any town code is not sufficient notice for the purposes of this kind of hearing. And so, yes, I'm aware that those things that were just read out are the only things this board can deal with.
Correct.
But we are supposed to be provided, quote, "the ground or grounds for suspension or revocation," which are the subject of this particular hearing.
Okay,
You know,
as I said earlier.
Sure.
We're going to listen to the facts, and then we'll decide what we're going to do.
and,
We're not a court here.
yeah, and I don't want to belabor this any more than I have. I
Okay.
just needed to make my record, and I appreciate, and I understand the
course.
town's position. Thank you very much.
Two lawyers here.
We love
Okay,
lawyers.
Ms. Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names.
No, don't worry, my name is not easy.
You have to be sworn in.
Yes. Sorry.
Sean?
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Deborah Oppenheimer, 36 Stag Road, Sagaponack, New York, 11962.
Great. And do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth with knowledge of penalties for perjury?
I do.
Okay, you can proceed and state your case in front of the board.
So I hired Mr. Jimenez as a designer and architect, mostly as an architect. We thought he was a formal architect. He had done work through my contractor, I sold a home in 172 Narrow Lane East in Sagaponack, and in that sale, I then purchased a home. Mr. Jimenez was in charge of doing architectural renderings for my 172 Narrow Lane home, and he worked mostly with my lawyer that is been with me forever, since, the last 20 years that I have been purchasing and selling properties here in Sag Harbor and Sagaponack. Her name is called Tara Hakimi, and she and Lori Barberia was my broker. I met them through Lori Barberia, stating that he was a formal architect and he would do all the permits and all the certificate of occupancy problems I had in the village. We purchased a home subsequently of selling that home. He successfully, Mr. Jimenez successfully obtained the certificate of occupancy. He represented himself as an architect. I have emails with my lawyer and in the closing stating architectural fees, architect presentation, and so as he had successfully closed something with the village of Sagaponack, that is a particularly difficult village to work with. It's small, it has different regulations than other places. We decided to take on our relationship to do our new home, that was 36 Sag Road, that we purchased exactly when we sold our 172 Narrow Lane East property. Once we purchased the home, there were significant remodeling issues that we had to do, including some issues with the certificate of occupancy as well. We had to change the roof. We had to redo some of the bathrooms that were extremely dated. We had to finish the floors. We had to fix the siding was in very poor state. We had to change the gutters. It was mostly putting the home up to date and making sure it was sound and safe to live in. This was during COVID, where there were no rentals available and living situation was pretty precarious. So we went to a rental home and started the permitting requests with Mr. Julio in the design group, not because they have the same name. It's confusing. Not with Hampton Cedar, with Jimenez Design Group. And he got the permits. And this was October. This was by November. We had sustained the permits to do a new roof, to do the new bathrooms. In the case of Sagaponack, you have to get permits for the siding and other issues. I don't know the code of Sagaponack very well, so I can't state exactly what the permits requirements are. But we got the building permit. And one was a building permit for the roof and the change of the interior scope of the house. That was very simple, floors and bathrooms. And the other one was for a pergola for the back. That was an addition that needed to be done with some simple footings to cover the back porch. So those were two building permits that were issued by Mr. Jimenez. In the process, we started discussing as my architect to, find contractors, subcontractors, and people to do the work. I worked only and directly with Mr. Jimenez Design Group. I always thought that he was my representative and he was dealing with the subcontractors, etc., as my architect. I've worked before with several other architects, and I never really dealt with the subcontractors myself, to be sincere. I always supposed that my architect as well was independent, too. My architect designer was independent to the contractors he was taking because he was representing me and my best interest. In the process, In December, we start construction. It was a very simple phase. We started, removing the floors, removing the 3 bathrooms. It's not a very big house. It's a 2,700 square foot home. Removing the bathrooms, preparing for an extension of a mezzanine, which we had the permit. Basically, we had to redo the mezzanine. And discussing the scope of work, meaning the costs involved. How much is the bathroom going to cost? How much is the plumber going to cost? How much is the roofing guy going to cost? In the process we had, he presented Mr. Jara, that is the person in the case, to do the roof and to do the siding and to do other things in the project. And he presented his budget. I had presented another person I had worked with. And we said, okay, he insisted that this was a good group to work with. And I said, okay, let's move forward. We need to do this. It's COVID. There were no people to work with. All the other contractors I would work with before were not available. It was a crazy time. So Mr. Jara and his team of Cedar Construction Group came in to start doing the roof, the siding, and this was beginning of December. By, I'd say, 26th of December. And you have all the information, by the way. I sent all the emails, the photos of the dates in which, by, I'd say, December 28th, 90% of the roof was done.
Yeah, we have the whole folder, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. By December 27, if I am not wrong, the date, I don't have the dates here exactly, but by the end of December, we finished, I'd say 80% of the roof and part of the gutters. It was not a very complicated home. It's not a huge home either. We had replaced it with a very basic metal roof, which we thought would be more long-lasting. In the process, the vacations came, and in January, we were expecting people to start, moving forward. We started contacting Mr. Julio Jimenez, and the bathrooms started being remodeling. The plumber came in, the electrician who we've worked with, we were pretty happy with him. His name is called Blue Sky. We had so many. The electrician was doing all of their work, and they seemed to be doing it well. I depended on them calling the inspector because I work, I take care of my parents, I have my children. I hired an architect to do that work for me because I don't know when you have to call an inspector, in what stage, and, those are details that I'm not well versed in. I normally work with a team of lawyers. During that time, I was not able to get a formal agreement as I normally do. Normally, my law firm does this formal agreement. I have to state that I think Brian DeCisa works with Adam Miller Group, and I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
No.
Well, Adam Miller Group was the one that always did my contracts with my contractors. And it was a time in which my lawyer, Tara Rimi, had left. She was very, very busy because her kids were at home. So we didn't write a formal contract as I normally do. We just had this informal contract I had with Mr. Jara.
Let me just have to clarify that.
Yeah.
I've never done work for you. I was previously.
No.
But if you think there's a conflict, I'm more than.
No, there's no conflict. No, I mean.
I'm just asking because I don't want you to feel uncomfortable.
No, I don't feel, no.
I haven't been there in 2 years, but.
Yeah, I didn't know, no, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I know that Tara left as well. I just wanted to state that my,
No, I just want to be clear so that it's.
I needed
fair
to state that
On the record that if.
I have a law firm that that
No,
is-
just to clear it up, to make sure. If you were uncomfortable, I would
Yeah,
refuse.
no, not at all, not at all. So I didn't do a formal agreement because it was not like my other projects where I built a home from scratch or was a massive project. So I did a mistake. I did an honest mistake because I couldn't find a lawyer to review an agreement for me. It was a really crazy time. It was the beginning of COVID, and everybody purchased a home. And I stayed with the agreement I had with my architect.
Okay, you stayed with Cedar Construction.
Cedar Construction without any formal
Any formal agreement, we got that. Right, we
written
know that.
agreement by my lawyer.
Okay.
I stayed it with him like I worked with any subcontractor
Well,
when
the point that we're trying to get across is,
yeah.
you're bringing a complaint, tell us the reason why that,
Oh,
you know.
oh, sorry, I'm
as far
telling
as
you the entire.
lead-up, we
So the
already-
complaint is basically they abandoned the job. They never told me the utilization of the money. I sent letters in January asking, they kept on asking for payments. They abandoned this roofing job and the siding job in January, beginning of January. I kept on saying, when are you going to come? When are you going to come? When is the job going to be done? When is this going to be finished? And by the end of January, it was a complete abandonment of my job site. And I kept on contacting Mr. Jose Luis Jimenez. They were, what is happening? You know, why isn't the pergola doing? Why? I kept on saying, where is my money going? Because they kept on asking, give me $100,000 here, give me $70,000 here. Actually, I have a letter, the first date, I think it's the 22nd, that I sent a formal request. Where are you allocating all of this money I'm giving you? I gave you $100,000. My roof isn't finished. My siding isn't finished. The bathrooms are in disarray. The flooring is in disarray. I need to move. You know, my lease is over by May. When are you going to come? And that situation went on till end of May. I find myself in which I had to leave. I couldn't find another place to live. And we enter into a home with no functional bathrooms, with the roof that was not finished, the siding that was not finished. And we requested, if I am not wrong, 10 meetings. We requested them to come incessantly from January to the end of May. And constantly there was an excuse, oh, we cannot come, or we can't go, we don't have we don't have the mason to do the footings, we don't have the materials. There was always an excuse, and literally they left us sitting down waiting we were waiting for the meetings. When are they going to come? When are they going to come to speak to us? When they're going to come to do the work? And I kept on calling Mr. Jose, when are you going to come? You know, to the point in which we were using porta potty. I have, 2 kids. They're very young, 7 and 8 years old. They go to Sagaponack School. And I have, 3 bathrooms that are not functioning and
So you moved into the house without a CO?
the house, we moved into the house, we spoke to the village. I spoke to John and I spoke to John, I forgot his last name, the inspector.
John Woodsman, the chief building inspector for Sagapon.
Okay.
I spoke to John and I spoke to the building inspector, and they said that there was a pre-existing CFO that
You could move in.
you could move in.
Okay, that's,
There was a change of laws, if I am not wrong, in December, that for remodeling, you needed a new CFO, but this was filed before that change of law.
okay, so that's fine, I just wanted to.
So I was not out of code. We made sure to speak. I have a really good relationship with the people because it's a small town and everybody
Okay,
knows each other. So
Okay, continue.
we were forced to move in a house that was completely in disarray,
Okay,
with an unfinished roof, with an unfinished siding, with an unfinished everything. It is the day-to-day. I cannot use my master bathroom, by the way. We informed them of all the problems. We informed them that there was malfunctioning bathrooms, that the showers were clogged, that the entire ceilings were leaking. All of those things were informed to them incessantly, believe me, on a weekly basis. Dude, I don't have a toilet. My father is 88 years old. My mother is 80 years old. She's a cancer survivor. I have a 7 and an 8-year-old. We're during COVID. It's not a good living situation for us. So we were forced by then in May to call someone else and help us finish all the. I informed them that please at least give me a refund of the money I gave them to finish all of this work. And they started stating, no, these are fees. We're not refunding fees. And I'm like, fees? I mean, I've never been charged a 15% fee on anything by a subcontractor. They're fees. So these are fees.
You didn't have any agreement to know what they were going to charge you or otherwise?
Not, Julio Jimenez, that is the architect, was a different story, but Mr. Cedar, I had never spoken to them. I had requested personal meetings with Mr. Cedar. Come and see me, come and see me. He left us. Cedar Construction left us in at least 10 meetings, sitting down in our home waiting like this. When are you going to come? And the same day, maybe 2 hours after the meeting, they would tell us we can't go.
When you notified them about the issues that you had, did they ever
Nothing.
respond back?
Well, there was one person that did the bathroom that tried to fix it but never finished it. So they left our bathroom halfway.
Okay.
All the planning was misdone. The plumbing of the bathroom, the plumbing of the kitchen, we had to reassess everything because the pipes were used wrong.
Okay, what did you notified your architect, but didn't you?
Yes, I spoke with Mr. Jimenez every day. That's the
Right,
way.
but what did he do anything about trying to get Cedar Construction back?
I suppose so.
Do you
Because
know for a
he would
fact?
come to the meetings with us and they never, later on in August, after me asking, what is the relationship you have with Cedar Construction? In the end of August, you have an email stating, well, my relationship with them is that I'm an employee.
Is what?
I'm an employee of the Cedar Construction. I'm being paid by
Okay,
Cedar
But your
Construction.
architect was the one that had the
Yeah,
contact.
he's here.
Your architect is here.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay.
He works for Cedar. I was never informed later that he works for Cedar. I was informed later in August. In the process, Cedar Construction files a fake lien against me.
Okay.
All of these, I sat down and I spoke to several lawyers. My lawyer, which I spoke to, was a person called Alex Kriegsman. That is a person I've known for many years regarding advice of taking action against them. And obviously, the costs are prohibitive. And for the amount of money, it was not something. I personally don't think this is a way to treat a client. Taking as well the extreme circumstances that I live with an 88-year-old father, an 81-year-old cancer survivor mother, 2 children. I'm responsible for everybody, and this was a simple job. Make my roof, finish my bathrooms, and 7 months is more enough time to do that work properly. I've remodeled bathrooms before, and I've done it in 2 months.
Okay.
I've changed a roof, and I've done it in 3 weeks. It never took me 7 months to do a roof. It never took, the gutters are still
Okay,
not working, yeah.
we got the scope of what your complaint is about.
So my complaint is basically, not only they stayed with my money and couldn't
Well,
give
the
it
money
back.
is something else.
We can't do anything.
We
We can't-
had
no,
no
no.
control of the money.
Yeah, but they
The
did not
workmanship-
comply with the
workmanship
work.
and the
They never finished it. The
Okay.
workmanship was wrong done.
Essentially, what this board has to get
Oh,
at
yeah.
is, do you have any action pending in any court?
No, we have not filed actions against them.
And what is the relief you are requesting of this board?
Well, I think that their license should be reviewed and that they shouldn't be doing this to anybody else.
Did you
because-
hire another contractor to complete the work?
Yes. Limon.
And is the work complete now?
The work was completed by September last
Did the
year.
new contractor get a CO?
The new contractor has everything,
Has a CO?
yeah, has financed.
Okay.
It's called Limonejo Framing, and a lot of the conversations I have, by the way, I'm a polyglot. I speak 6 languages, so I wrote to them in Spanish directly myself.
Okay.
And so a lot of the, I think there's several emails that I wrote in Spanish that you have there in Spanish.
Okay, we have this,
So my complaint is work not done. The allocation of the money, I'm giving you money, where are you taking it? Where are the receipts? Where are the, several months asking him, please tell me where you're allocating. And then out of the blue, they say, oh, no, it's my fees. You
Okay,
didn't
we-
even finish my bathroom, my roof, my siding.
okay. We have the scope of what your complaint is.
Yeah.
Let's hear from the other side.
I'm sorry I didn't say.
But that's
very
okay, thank
organized.
thank you,
I'm not a lawyer, by the way.
thank you. Thank you.
Nobody hired lawyers.
I may need you guys to come up in a minute, but,
Okay.
okay.
You're
So,
up.
I'm glad I got to hear what Ms. Oppenheimer had to say. And I will go through this as an overview and point you to things in Ms. Oppenheimer's submissions that, frankly, a lot of timeline things that aren't quite accurate in what she had to say here. And obviously, I have my folks here to testify directly if you need it. But let me start with the relationship here. Mr. Jimenez and Hampton Cedar have always always been represented as working together in this. Hampton Cedar was disclosed on the very first proposal and budget estimate that was provided to her that is actually in the materials you have. If you see, there is a spreadsheet that is dated December 3rd of 2020. It's within the materials here. At the very top of it, it says Hampton Cedar Construction, Inc. That has and has always been the general contractor here on this matter. Mr. Jimenez is a design consultant. He is not an architect. He works with, if he needs to get drawings approved by an architect, he will work through them, but he is not an architect. He doesn't represent himself to be an architect. He will do renderings and drawings for clients, but he is believe me, very careful to explain what his role is and where his limits are and what he can do. He did assist and did get involved in Miss Oppenheimer's prior home.
And just to cut you off, we're clear that he's not the subject of this.
He is not.
So
I
appreciate the background, but
thank you.
it's just Hampton Cedar is what we're,
And I just wanted to make clear that there was nothing undisclosed or untoward in any of that. Jimenez and I believe Julio, Hampton Cedar was involved in the prior home? Yes. So Hampton Cedar and Mr. Jimenez's firms did work on her prior home. They were called in when she had a problem with that contractor who apparently didn't do good work. My clients will tell you the work of the prior contractor was exemplary. It was fine. They don't understand why that contractor got removed from the job, but he was. They came in, closed out that job for her, and then when she bought this new home, she approached them to bring them in again because she was very happy with their work at that point. Again, timeline issues here. They were brought in to start doing work and give estimates. I believe it was October of 2020. They started work, Hampton Cedar, on the site, doing the roofing work, doing the siding work that we're discussing. From October, they had workmen on that job through May. They didn't walk off, they didn't disappear in February, they were, or January, as Ms. Oppenheimer says, they had people on the job working all the way up and through May. The issue, I think, that really is at the crux of this was this back porch. What our clients had done was they did the roof, they did the siding, they did everything they could up to that back portico porch that we're talking about. They did not complete the back wall siding and the back wall gutters that was going to be on the back of the house because they were awaiting the permit for that pergola and this enclosed deck area. That permit did not come through until April or May of 2021. Now, And there was a number of construction delays that led to that. I will mention it, Ms. Oppenheimer didn't. One of the issues that we learned in April was that during the course of this project, Hampton Cedars, let me back this up, they've been a permittee and license holder in the town of Southampton for the last 15 years. They have they do most of their work either in Southampton or East Hampton. On any given year, it's 60 to 70% of their work is here in Southampton. This is the very first time he is here. He's never been brought before the review board before. His license during the course of this project expired, and they learned during this that they were waiting on a renewal application so that they could approve that permit. We are talking about, if there was a delay, it's a delay of a week or two, not a significant delay of the permit as a result of this. They were awaiting that permit to come through so that they could then do this pergola and back area. So that's everything else that had been done properly. She was satisfied with the work. They had the plumbers in, they had the electricians in. She said everything was fine. That was the one and only issue. With regard to the agreement that they had provided her with a written estimate and budget proposal in the form of this spreadsheet. In that spreadsheet, it disclosed a 15% contractor's fee. It was with Hampton Cedar. It itemized Hampton Cedar work and then work that was to be done by other trades that they were bringing in, that they worked with her to bring in, some of which she was paying directly because she wanted to have the payment relationship directly, but all of them were being coordinated by Hampton Cedar and Mr. Jimenez assisting. And so they disclosed at the outset that there was a contractor's fee. They took the contractor's fee as a percentage of work as it was done, not all at once, but as work was being done. They disclosed this to her throughout in providing her updated spreadsheets as the course of the project went forward. You have versions of the spreadsheet here. Ms. Oppenheimer says that she did not, that we walked off the job and she was upset in January. The reality is she submitted a second payment of $75,000 in February. It's reflected, I believe, in the spreadsheet. And so really where the rubber met the road here was in May, when the permit had come through to complete that portico or patio or whatever we want to call it, we had provided her with a updated estimate of what that work was going to cost. It was going to cost about $70,000. They sent it along to her, and that is when she started complaining that she had paid enough and didn't want to pay any more, that money was already paid for. And we explained to her, here's the money, here's what you paid, here's an itemization of everything that was done in that same spreadsheet that you have. It reflected the contractor's fee that was being taken out as job work was being done, and we said there's not any money here. You need to pay on top of that money for us to continue to work on this on the enclosed porch.
Are you talking about the spreadsheet, December 2020?
It'll say December 3rd, 2020.
Right, 2020, that's the whole spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's the spreadsheet.
And where is the estimate for the
So that spreadsheet was
patio
like,
work?
I'm sorry?
The next
Oh, the
phase?
patio work, it's in here as well. It's
Let's see it.
It's attached to an email that Mr.
Yeah.
Jimenez sent on May 10th. Covered deck estimate is what it's called. It's in Spanish, but I believe it says, here's the estimate, the actual estimate of what we expect the cost to be. And that was $70,100. And in response to that, on May 25th, Ms. Oppenheimer sent to Mr. Jimenez a notice of termination, telling him that she no longer wanted them on the site, no longer wanted him working for her, no longer wanted him involved. They still continued to try to work with her. They had people on the job through May, and that notice of termination, by the way, is in the packet that she submitted. They still continued to work with her. They tried to talk with her. They engaged with her all the way through September of that year. In late August, they had offered to set up a meeting to come through, do a walkthrough, go over her concerns, whatever they may be. So to address whatever it was that she said was defective in the work that was done, but also, to try to deal with, she said she wanted this covered porch done, but she didn't want to add any more cost to it. So they weren't going to embark on that work if she was not going to pay for that work. But the work that she had paid for was all done. I just want to emphasize that. They had done everything they could have up and until this covered porch. They stopped on the siding because they needed to do construction on that back wall before they can complete this porch. But like I said, they continued to attempt to engage with her, to speak with her. They offered to have meetings. And again, I mean, obviously, look, Ms. Oppenheimer has her view on this. She may be right on whether there's miscommunications on arranging meetings. That's in the eye of the beholder, but there were efforts on both sides clearly to try to have this kind of walkthrough and meeting. But my larger point here is there was no abandonment. They were actively working at the site through May. In May, she said, "I'm terminating all of you." They still kept talking with her, trying to work with her about this stuff, and the relationship was just over at that point.
Okay, you said that the last part was the patio and that's why the siding and that. Okay, interior-wise.
Right.
Part of her complaint is that she has no bathrooms.
Right. So
If that was all completed, you said it was all completed.
yes, the bathrooms, all this work, the tiling, these were finished bathrooms. She later told us, after she had brought another contractor in, and I'm looking to him to make sure I'm telling this right, after she brought another contractor in, that she had brought somebody in to redo tile, that she said there was an issue with the tile, or maybe the drainage of the tile, and...
Showers,
Yeah, and the way...
we can swear him
yes,
in, have him come up.
why don't you come on up?
Well, he's got to get sworn in.
This is Mr. Jimenez.
He has to be sworn in.
Is that, right there is fine?
If he
or-
could step up
Yeah,
where
you
you
can
are.
step over here. Sure.
Mr. Jimenez, just raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth with knowledge of penalties for perjury?
Correct, yeah.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Jose Jimenez, 43 Bellows Pond Road, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, you can proceed.
So in terms of the work completed,
Closer, please.
in terms of the work completed, I would say close to the end of May, they moved into the house. But the house was furnished, bathrooms were done. At that point, there were no deficiencies with the bathrooms that we knew of. There were things that needed to be completed, like the siding on the left-hand side of the house and the back gutters and the back metal roof, because it needed to be tied into the new flat roof along the back. There was the front door, complaints about the front door that needed to be replaced. One door was installed, but that wasn't up to code, it needed to be replaced. And there was one back window, back door, sliding doors that needed to be replaced. That was part of the original scope of work. However, on the last spreadsheet that we submitted to Mrs. Oppenheimer, it shows, it's very clear. I mean, it shows the work to be completed by Hampton Sear. It shows payments to be made directly from the client to subcontractors. The plumber was paid directly. The last shower guy was paid directly, company. Floor guy was paid directly. The painter, the electrician, all those trades were paid, we're receiving checks directly from Mrs. Oppenheimer.
My question was, the interior of the house, were the bathrooms complete?
The bathrooms were functional. At
And
that
they were
time, we
not
didn't know
leaking,
there were
working,
issues with the bathrooms.
Everything was working?
Painting was 90% done.
Not painting, plumbing.
Plumbing was done, everything was working.
It
The
was
bathrooms
all
were
working when she moved into the house.
Yes, there were still odds and ends, like a punch
what?
list. Like the front door, for example, the back,
Doors,
yeah.
okay.
But the floors were finished, bathrooms were finished, the tile was finished. Later, she brought somebody else because she was having problems with the floors, tile bathrooms and shower bathrooms, shower floors. And then she sent us pictures that everything has to be redone and et cetera, that there was, because of the bathroom deficiency of, there was water coming in the kitchen. But at the time that they moved in,
So there were leaks after May?
after May.
Okay.
Yeah. or when they probably started using the bathrooms, about.
Yeah, but that
But-
was the work you completed.
Work, one
But
of
it
the
was
super.
leaks after
Correct,
they moved in,
yeah,
the work you completed,
correct.
did you go back to fix the leaks?
She brought somebody else to rip the floors
Not
off. That was,
Ripping the floors up to fix the leaks is what he's saying.
yeah. She brought somebody else to
Before
remove the
you
tile
had-
floors.
You didn't have a chance to come back in and fix it?
Well, at that time in May, there was the communication had gone a little rough in terms of the text that we received, the messages. The floor contractor, for example, he did the floors, I mean, beautiful work. She was very happy with him. She gave him the last check. That check didn't go through. And then when he was trying to collect, she said, well, the money has to come from Hamptons here because I already paid him.
Right, my question,
But-
my question I'm trying to
Okay.
answer is,
Okay,
there were leaks.
correct.
Did you go back in and try to fix the leaks without asking for more money?
No, we were.
Because that was part of the original contract.
Correct. That should have been some work that we should have done with no additional cost. But she brought somebody else, and at that point, the communication and the messages and the text were very insulting, to be honest. And then the relation started to break, really,
Okay.
to a point that we didn't want to go there to get insulted, and then that's basically. But we were there, I mean, originally, the timing, we were there all the way through May. Hamptons here has records of the timesheets, our space to all the workmen that were there, through the last time that we were at the site.
So basically, you're telling us that you tried to go back to fix the leaks, but she would not let you?
I think what he's saying is you would have fixed the leaks had you been given the opportunity to do
That's what
so.
I'm trying to
But
find
by
out.
that point.
Correct.
By that point, she had already brought somebody else in, and the relationship now was.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to get to.
They would have and did recognize, yes, that's something they would have gone in and fixed, but somebody else had come in.
Okay, but my other question was he looking for a check before he came back to address the leaks?
Oh, well, there was something with the budget that we present. The budget, the last spreadsheet that she was presented with shows the cost, the final cost, shows the money that had been received, $175,000, how the money had been allocated, percentage of work completed, and by that time, the percentage of work completed was more than the amount of the money that had been received. But we wouldn't have gone there and charged a penny to fix that. Yeah, we're not looking for money to fix the bathrooms.
Yeah,
That's the
so
thing.
I'm trying to answer his question.
Yeah,
which
okay,
is,
all right, yeah.
That they were not looking for a check for that to come, before they would come back to do the
Yeah.
work. What had happened, though, at this point was, she had already, by end of May, she said, I'm terminating you, I don't want you there. And you had this, your review, because part of the work was not just the bathroom, part of the work was finishing up this back area, and she was not willing to pay them to do the back area and the porch area to finalize.
I want you to speak into the mic, sorry.
I'm sorry. She was not willing to, so it's, a lot of it was wrapped together, so there was not a request for any additional money to fix any of the work on the interior. That is something that she had on her own brought somebody else to do before we could get in to do it. With regard to asking for checks, though, some of the work that I think she claims was unfinished had to do with this patio and enclosure, and that pertains to the siding there. And that work, we admit, was unfinished because that work required us to get additional monies to finish this and tie it all in together. And so, you asked if that piece, yes, we were not going to go back and build this patio without an additional cost.
I got that.
But the interior side.
My point was
Yes.
about asking for money to come back, fix the problems in the interior that she paid for. That's what my question.
That is accurate, and I think
Okay.
one of the, but just, it is all wrapped up. One of the issues was, there was this issue with a leak that she claimed went to the flooring, and that the flooring needed to be repaired, but she had stopped payment on a check to the flooring guy. And so now the flooring guy had not been paid even for the work that he did do, and we would have, again, brought him in if there was any damage from that shower that needed to be corrected because there was water intrusion into other areas, that would have all been wrapped up. But now, at this point, she sent us a termination notice and also stopped payment on checks to the subcontractors.
Okay.
My question, was there a total budget, total scope of plan or budget for this whole entire job? Or was or was she hit with additional charges or costs or requests, or did she know upfront what she was going to, we have it?
You could correct me if I'm wrong. There was an initial estimate that was provided to her in this spreadsheet, and then that estimate was updated periodically with real costs as decisions were made and changes in scope were made.
And every time it was updated, was she notified that whatever this is going to be an additional charge?
It was updated, it was the original, and then it was updated once, and then the last one, close to May.
And she was clearly notified of
She will receive it via email.
of that information about additional costs? Okay.
The bottom line number of the estimate, did that change?
It was adjusted as some of the numbers were, I mean, some were allowances, and some of the numbers became available, the bottom line got adjusted.
Okay, but did it deviate significantly, or was it in line with the original estimate?
I would say, percentually, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it went up, yeah.
Okay, but was she clearly notified, and was this explained and clarified to her?
It was notified, this is the, attached please file the updated budget with the latest changes and the bottom line, and here's the, everything shows the amounts, the money that she had paid, the money that she had paid to subcontractors to that date, and the balances owed, the percentage of work completed by Hampton Cedar to that date, and at the bottom, all the associated fees.
So yes.
Can you just, for our record, for the record here, with everything, clarify your relationship with Hampton Cedar?
Yes, so,
Talked about from both sides, so just.
Correct, no, of course. I have worked with Hampton Cedar for a long time as a consultant for them. I first met Mrs. Oppenheimer on the previous home that she owned in Sacapone. I was introduced to her by Lori Barbaria. And there was a deficiency on the construction of the footings of the pool house. So we came in, we met with John Woodsma, figured out what needed to be done. We prepared drawings, and we brought in Hampton Cedar to do the construction. And
Not an employee of Hampton Cedar.
No, not at all. And then organically, we move into the next project for them, which she was happy with the work that Hampton Cedar did. We secured the C of O.
Was there an architect involved in this current project?
On which project?
The current one we're talking about, 36?
Well, I prepared the drawings, and I worked with an engineer, and then he reviewed and sealed the drawings, and were submitted to the building
An
department.
engineer stamped the plans,
Correct.
that's what the permit was based on.
Correct.
And that's what was built off.
Correct. Yeah, it's a basic set of construction documents because all the interior decisions were made along with the clients, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have anything? Anybody, no questions?
Just if Ms. Oppenheimer wants to.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Oppenheimer? Yes, you have a chance to respond.
I think I did send a lot of the communication emails, if you have, with the timelines of conversations, but if you require, I can send you, I have printed out all of our text messages and all of our emails for you to see the timeline in written. The first time I asked them, and here is one of the emails, I'll give you an example, January 26th. It says, Jose, I've never spoken to Hampton Cedar. Agradecería que por favor nos mandes el presupuesto final. Todavía estoy esperando. I would appreciate you send us the last estimate. We are still waiting. We were waiting and waiting. This was January 26th. También me gustaría una confirmación de la utilización de los 100,000 que te dimos. I would like as well a confirmation of the utilization of the $100,000 we gave you. Las puertas que todavía están en la casa no entran, son equivocadas. The doors that are in the house do not fit, they're the wrong ones. Please give them back. I'm not responsible for those doors. I found myself literally micromanaging something I have no idea. I'm not a construction specialist, by the way. do something completely different. Trying to learn during the trade is pretty difficult. But we met again, and I think you have it, and I'll give you where we asked Mr. Jimenez in February 26, where he asked for more money. We never understood that, by the way. We never agreed with the spreadsheets he kept sending us. It didn't make sense with the payments. It didn't make sense with the scope of work. It didn't make sense with a lot of things. I think I gave you a sheet detailing the payments, and in that sheet, the work of scope and when it was when it was done. In February, he came to speak to us as an architect, by the way. In this moment, I was already discussing why doesn't he call Limonejo Framing? That was the person that called, that had done work with me, and I have emails of that discussion with him as well, if you wish to have them, to replace Hampton Cedar. Because by February, I didn't want to work with Hampton Cedar anymore.
But when did they stop working on the job?
They stopped, Hampton Cedar itself, I never understood the role, because I as well they kept on saying, no, we're only the roofing person. So I never knew they were a general contractor. Mr. Jimenez would come and tell me, please pay for the plumber, please pay for the guys. I would have preferred to pay one person. I worked with Brian McGinnis before. That was the person who would build my homes, never available because that was a time of a lot of construction. And my architect was Val Florio normally. Val Florio didn't have the time of day for me, and less for fixing a little house. He doesn't do remodelings. I've always worked with very serious people. Brian McGinnis had put a shed. It was not a pool house. The only work they had to do is secure a shed for the C of O. Val Florio and Brian McGinnis, Val Florio specifically is a very serious architect. The contract with Val Florio and Brian McGinnis was drafted by my law firm through Tara Hakimi and Adam Miller. They are very serious lawyers. I've never had conflict with them. We might have had disagreements on when to get the C of O, when not to get the C of O, what happened with the shed. That was it. My other home was approved, was a new construction that was approved by John Woobsma, and it was followed up by a very serious architect. And I can vouch for the work of Val Florio. He is a very serious man.
What would you like us to do here?
I was swindled with the money. I was swindled with the job. I had to call John several times, why isn't the building approving? And finally I got, the end of February, beginning of April, that the building department wasn't being approved, not because we don't have all the plans and everything since January, but because they don't have a license. So everything that Mr. Jimenez was telling me is not that John was keeping backwards my building department. Everything had been approved by the architectural board. We were missing a license, and that was the reason why. So I pushed him in end of February, early April, and he has all that. In early April, we had already got all the permits approved for the back porch. The back porch had nothing to do with the work that could have been done. We paid for windows that never arrived, specifically a very expensive window that was a $15,000 or $16,000 window that kept on saying, when is it going to come? I gave you the money for a window that never appeared. We paid for the bathrooms that were leaking. They brought people to fix that bathroom in end of April. We moved end of April, but 1st of May, we were already living in the home. We moved our furniture because we didn't have where to live. So we moved our furniture in a job site. That was not very agreeable. We sent him photos of the leaking thing. I did my kitchen with Bates. That is a contractor of kitchens that is in Noyak. And he is Bates & Croops is a very reputable kitchen provider. He did his own permits with the town, had finished the kitchen. It was a very expensive kitchen. The entire flooding. I sent already in the beginning of May, photos to him of all the flooding of the bathrooms that were ruining a kitchen that cost me $120,000, guys. That was all paid for, never had any problems with Bates. I've had a long-term relationship, he's always done my kitchens. He had done as well all of our dining room, all of the cabinetry room work. So all of what they're saying is not true. They tried to fix it, they fixed it wrong, the bathrooms still weren't working. I called them 100 times, where are my bathrooms? The floors were lifted up because they were cutting and doing materials. They had to fix the floors finished lifting up again because of the leaks. We had to change our kitchen hood because of the leaks, because we had a wood kitchen hood, and that kitchen wood started expanding because of the leaks. We couldn't use our bathrooms. And their job was to renew the bathrooms. I still currently haven't had the money to finish my master bathroom, so I have a jacuzzi that's not functional, a shower that's not functional. The only thing that I fixed of my master bathroom was my potty and the drains. All the plumbing work had to be redone, so still my bathrooms are not functional.
So
I cannot-
basically, what you're telling us,
They got all
you
that-
asked them to come back, fix the leaks.
Oh, they tried to fix it. They brought people to fix it in the beginning of May. They never finished fixing it. I kept on saying, when are they going to come? When are they going to come? And Mr. Jimenez, I said, we agreed upon that you have the date in which they send us that thing. The disagreement was $5,000 with the budget, and I said, why the $5,000 difference? They said, well, the materials went up, and I said, well, I had an agreement of a different price, but it had nothing to do with the back porch. It had to do with all of the rest of the things, the gutters, the leaks, the roof didn't have gutters. We had showers of water falling into our home. So the siding was getting hurt. The siding wasn't finished. We had a completely open siding. I send you photos. I sent
Was that on the back side of the house where the porch was?
No, it was on the side, on the other side. We sent as well
Okay.
photos and letters and complaints and meetings and letters. You have all those photos, letters, complaints, and meetings.
We have them here, yeah.
I showed you the photo. We had to fix the bathroom 2 times, one with their people that they fixed it wrong, then another person came and we showed, actually the plumber and the electrician had put holes in the showers, so the shower bin that they hadn't put even, you put like, I learned this after, you put like a protection
Right.
thing, and then you have to put the shower bin, and then you have to, but there has to be like a protection. They just put that bin on with thing that was moving, and there were 2 holes. It was, everything was extraordinarily poorly done.
Okay.
And so our complaint was not, why didn't you come? Our complaint is, why aren't you coming? Why are you leading, since February? We gave them more money that they asked for us in February to finish more work. I buy the materials, I'll give you more money, because I knew that the materials were taking 3 or 4 months to arrive. In February, I gave them, here, an extra $75,000, please buy the materials. There's no materials available. There was no materials available. I was speaking with all the contractors. We're going to Riverhead Building Supply. They were calling people from the Midwest to bring materials. I gave them extra money in February, even though I did not have a scope of business. I sat down and spoke with Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez, give us, please, a detail of where you're putting this money. This money is to buy materials. Buy our window. Our window will never appear if you don't come. We needed to change an entire window of the house. That was the sliding door window that was not working. It was, so it was just like a complete, I managed this site. I would call the painter, I would call I managed it. I paid the painters, I didn't have a contractor, I did all the work. They should be paying me a 15% fee for management of the site.
Okay. Okay, we got the
So
information.
I have all of the emails. If you request, I can send you now all printed out, all of our text messages. I have all of our text
Did you
message.
send those to us yet?
I can send you the entire.
Did you send us the email?
No, I sent the relevant emails.
Okay.
And I can send you more emails if you want, and I can send you all of our text message conversations, because I normally do everything via text. I don't have time to speak, and
Okay.
the reception sucks.
If you would send that to us,
Yeah.
just so we could see the timeline.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you very much.
so I can send you all the text messages requesting him to come and fix what he had fixed, to
Okay.
change what he had changed, and.
If you send it to us,
Yeah.
we have to forward it to
Yeah.
be able
Yeah.
to see the construction also.
The termination letter for my architect was just already the end of the line, because they had left us stranded for the 10th
Okay,
time.
we just
Yeah,
need that
yeah.
other information.
Yes,
And we'll forward it to them,
Yeah.
so they have it also, and
okay.
from there we'll go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Just one.
You have anything else?
Just,
Of course, he's a lawyer.
two things. We will provide you with our side of those texts.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
Part of the issue here is,
Any other additional information?
yeah, I think the back and forth and why this relationship deteriorated is reflected in those texts and what was being said to our clients in those texts. So we will, by all means, we'll send those to you.
Any
And-
additional information will be
and fair and.
nice to have.
We will do so. Just two things I want to point
And we'll
out.
forward you anything we get.
Yes, I will submit that. I just want to point out, as Ms. Oppenheimer said, she's not a construction professional, so to the extent we're talking about workmanship, she's not qualified to opine on any of that. And I just want to emphasize something that she, I think, said in her, admitted in her thing. She was getting these spreadsheets constantly. We were constantly sending her these updates. This is not a got surprised by a bill type of situation. She was being provided them. She's now saying she doesn't understand them, but that's not what we heard at the time, and that's, she was getting these updates regularly. Unless there's anything, you have any questions for our folks?
Any, wait, anybody have any questions for Mr., no?
No. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
What would you like?
Can't speak there. Nope.
Wait,
Let's go
you
there.
gotta go up here.
I promise I won't, I won't get
I might not be a construction engineer. I am
Ooh.
industrial engineer, okay? And I specialize in agronomy. So I'm something called an industrial food technologist. I don't understand construction of bathrooms. As an engineer, I'm a little bit of a stickler. I majored in finance. So I have received all of the spreadsheets, reviewed all of the spreadsheets, and none of them, it's not that I didn't understand them, none of them made sense. None of them reflected the work that was done, and none of them reflected the payment that was done. That was, I want to say, I didn't say I do not understand.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good.
And if they want to speak about plumbing, I would actually plumb factories that would do food technology. Okay,
Okay.
so I don't do plumbing, I don't
We understand.
require,
Thank you very much.
ignorance.
Thank you.
I have one last request before you move forward. Assuming that the text messages are in Spanish, if they could be translated, please, for the
Yes.
board, it would be appreciated,
Yeah,
so that you can read them.
yes. If you could send it in,
Does it need to be a certified translation, or can we have somebody do it, and if there's a, if.
There's a conflict, we can do that, but-
Yeah, okay.
We can deal with it then.
thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll not close the meeting. We'll leave the meeting open until we get the rest of the information and the hearing, I'm sorry, and we'll go from there. Thank you for coming in, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anthony, so you would like to table this hearing to October 12th, 2022?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I
make
get a
that
motion? Thank you.
Need a second? I think
Brian, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? So moved. Okay, we're waiting on new applications. What's your pleasure here? We already tabled one for,
I'm set.
you're good on the new applications? So instead of 27, we have 26.
No, you have 28, and you have,
Home improvement,
But I just want to check on this one, where you wrote this
28.
note, where am I looking at?
is it for question number 6?
187.
Yeah, question number 6, they
Yeah,
had a previous
yeah.
business, and I asked them for a letter. It
Yeah.
should be behind.
Letters been submitted?
Yep, it should be behind the actual page of the application.
We had
So
20.
page 2.
You said we had 28?
Okay, got it.
There's 28, and you're approving
Right, okay, good.
27, and you're holding application 2200196, DNO Equipment and Development, Inc., Petro, I'm going to butcher his name, I apologize.
Yeah, whatever, that,
Listen
I
up.
know the one we asked to come forward, but you had 27 on the sheet, that's why
I think I did not cross out on yours?
No.
All right,
Okay.
28.
Okay, so we have 28, we're not approving one. What's your pleasure on 27?
Motion to approve?
Second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? So move. Okay, and I think that's, any other business before us?
Sir, were you here to address the board today?
No, I'm actually just here, I'm a construction manager, and I'm working with QC Siding on getting their contractor's license. So I just saw that the hearing was today, so I wanted to see if
Is it
Oh.
a
On the
new one?
agenda.
it's.
No,
I have
it's
the
a new application.
number.
New application.
What's the name?
QC
You
Siding.
just approved it.
Okay.
It's in there?
Was that 22?
Please check.
Okay.
Yep.
It's in there.
It's, okay, so it's.
Okay, we approved it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
And how will we'll get the written notice of the license number? How
When
does
the
that-
application is processed, it'll be mailed out.
Okay, do we have approximately, how
No,
long that
it
take?
takes about a week.
About a week? Great, thank you so much.
You can start putting in applications tomorrow.
Okay, no addition,
Great, thank
no additional business before the board?
Nope.
If not, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, so moved. Hearing is, meeting, let me have your sheets, will you?
So this is.